What's up, guys? 5869 back again with another replay analysis. This time we're going to be going over Berb, who's going to be playing his Venomancer, and he asked a couple questions. So he's about 3.1k. He's in the SEA region, and he said, there's a lot of 4-core lineups. How should I support, maybe what heroes? Basically, how can he be efficient in this role when it's just a single support kind of backing up 4 cores? So there's a couple things that you have to do when you find yourself in this situation, which does happen everywhere between like 3.5 probably all the way down under that. You'll find yourself in one support games, and it is unfortunate, but it certainly is doable. And especially in these lower MMR games, if you can pull it off, it ends up helping out that you have 4 cores, stuff like that. So first couple things I will go over is hero picks are really important, right? You can't pick a super greedy support like a Rubik or something that needs a lot of items in order to be effective. You have to pick supports that can have high impact with very small amounts of farm. So in this case, he picks Venomancer. That's a great pick. I think Veno doesn't need a lot. Early game, Gale is incredibly strong. Later on, you can really get your wards. You can get a lot of use out of your wards in terms of pushing, taking Roshan. If you can't afford to buy wards, you can use your venomous wards for a short duration of vision. You can just throw it on the rune near whatever every 2-minute mark, and that way you can maybe see a little bit. He really just needs like maybe tranquil boots and like a force staff or something to be effective. Unfortunately, there's probably not a big chance that when you're solo supporting you'll be able to buy a mech as well. It is fairly tough unless you play it really well. Other heroes, I think Jakiro, Witch Doctor, Winter Wyvern, Lion doesn't need too much really. I know some people will argue he needs a Blink Dagger. I don't think that's necessarily true, and I think he can get away with just like Tranquil Boots, especially thanks to his mana drain. He can stay out on the map a lot. So that's the first thing. You need to be able to pick a hero and recognize that, okay, this hero is good in these solo support scenarios. Outside of that, when you begin the game, and I do say this for pretty well every replay and I analyze, but I think it's really important when you're solo supporting, is that you have to look at the enemy team and you have to say, all right, what am I going to need? What's going to be really effective here? I don't have much gold. I have to be sure to get the best item possible. And there's a couple of items you can get here. So first of all, I see a Necrophos, which means Glimmer Cape is going to be exceptionally strong. It pretty much just destroys that hero, makes his ultimate useless. I know you're looking at the rest of the team and saying, well, what the hell, there's a ton of physical damage. Realistically, if, you can spend that gold, Glimmer Cape's good, in general. Sure, the rest of the team is physical minus maybe Prophet's ult. It's still going to be really strong. You guys have a Huskar, I guess, and a Meepo who have innate magical damage resistance. But still, I would definitely consider that. Outside of that, a Force Staff is always good for kiting heroes like the TA, the Alchemist, even the Bounty Hunter to an extent. So being able to kite those heroes around in team fights is important. As well as, if you can get it for yourself, a Ghost Scepter is going to be a very luxurious item that isn't that bad, especially since they have 4 physical damage cores. So just something to keep in mind. You always want to look at the other team and say, okay, what counters them? What do I need? So basically right now, if I'm this Venomancer, I'm saying, alright, I should be able to get Tranquil Boots. It's going to be a nice bit of armor against the enemy team. From there, I probably want to get a Force Staff. In general, I think Force Staff is like the best solo supporting item, just because it gives you so many options. Initiation, counter initiation, being able to get away from something, stuff like that. The other big thing is that he's going to be thinking, alright, I'm a little bit starved. I'm going to be going up against a Bounty Hunter. And because of that, I'm probably going to have to buy Dust. So that's something he's going to have to keep in mind as well. But let's kind of keep an eye on how he plays this one out. It looks like he will be up against a dual lane bottom, which seems to be Prophet TA. So it is a slightly annoying lane. He's going to have to ward up. He's going to have to babysit his Meepo a lot because Meepo's not going to do too well against 2 ranged cores whatsoever. But I think there is room to pull the creep wave, and that's really important as well. If you're against a solo lane, 100% of the time, okay, depending on who it is, Not usually, maybe when it's Darkseer, but you always want to be stacking and pulling, just because the CS here that you get from stacking and pulling is so important when you're solo supporting, because you're never really going to be able to get a lane to yourself. There's 4 cores. If they're, you know, smart enough, they'll probably be able to farm around the map. So I think he missed that stack, unfortunately. If you don't know how to pull through, or if you haven't practiced pull throughing, I would certainly work on getting used to that for sure. And it seems like the Prophet's in the jungle. Now he's against the TA. He's actually pretty good against the TA, especially if he builds properly. He just puts 1 point in a Geo Strike. Seems kind of inefficient, but all things considered, it's definitely going to be a good idea just to burn through the refraction. So something to keep in mind. Venomancer, yeah, looks like he did miss that one. He's going to go for what I imagine to be a pull through here. Manages to catch a few creeps, and yeah, is going to get the pull through. So that's, oh no, it doesn't even need to, because he had too few creeps. So that's not that big of a deal. Looks like it's turned into somewhat of a tri-lane scenario. So it seems like the Mirana's just kind of given up. She's fighting for last hits with your Meepo. Things are going to get kind of annoying. However, you still want to stack and pull, and you still want to You still want to stack camps for your Meepo if possible. That's a good way to get a lot of EXP that you're going to end up losing out on, especially in a tri-lane scenario. So if we kind of back up here and see what happens. So this is finished at about 3:43. You should have enough time, even without boots, to get up here, stack this large camp. Might be a little bit tough. Maybe if you were positioning a little bit better there. If you're positioning a little bit better and keeping your eye on the clock, you can probably like walk over towards here, so you're still in EXP range. Stack the large camp, and then right after that, basically you pull it at whatever 3:53, and then you run towards the rune spot. Not only will it stack, but you'll help secure the rune for either your mid laner or even yourself if it's a bounty rune. Especially since you have an invoker mid, you can probably steal it, since I doubt he has a bottle. No, he's just going for a straight Midas rush. So you can secure that regen rune, and then from there, if it's an invis rune or something, perhaps, basically whatever rune it is, you probably want to grab. Sometimes you have to hold onto it for your mid laner, but you would have stacked anyways, which is being nice and efficient, right? You stack the camp, and at the same time you go for the rune, which is usually a pretty big contested spot around this MMR. So again, you passed that large camp at 53, didn't stack it. When you're playing a solo support, it's so important that you do stack. In terms of the skill build, I don't mind the 2 points in a poison sting. I think 1 point into Gale isn't bad. The damage increase is pretty good though. If you look at it, it doubles the initial damage, as well as the damage tick. It like quadruples, so it goes from 10 damage per tick to 40, which doesn't make it useless anymore. I think 1-1-1 though is probably the most respectable build, just because you can use the Plague Wards for a little bit more vision and for harass if you do it properly, and it also gives you the option to push down this tower if the need arises, right? So just keep that in mind. Making sure that your skill build is the proper one. 6-minute rune. Prophet just denies that. That's pretty annoying. Didn't get a stack off at that time again. So far what I'm seeing is that you need to work on your stacking and pulling. Your laning's not all that bad. You got to be really careful because TA hits super hard. You go for the Basilius. I don't mind that whatsoever because you can disassemble it and get your Tranquil Boots. However, you only have Gale. So if you have Plague Wards, 1 into Plague Wards, I'm alright with that. Since you only have Gale, the Basilius is doing essentially nothing, right? Like, the bonus mana regen's great, but you're hardly casting abilities since you have 2 points into your passive, 1 point into Gale, which you haven't really used all that much. So, could keep that in mind. Probably, if you're gonna probably get the Basilius if you've got 1 point into Plague Ward, since it allows you to spam it a little bit more. You do turn it off, so it's not like you're using it to push the lane either, which, if you had a point in a Plague Ward, you could be pushing the lane right now. And I think that's really helpful. Looks like you're probably going to get a kill on this TA. She's going to go down. Tries to get a kill on you, and you barely are going to get out of this one, I think. Probably should have just TP'd right away. You go down, but if you get a kill on the Prophet, yeah, it's totally worth it there. So a nice trade. I do like that. One thing I would have liked a little bit more, perhaps, is if you went to gank this mid laner. The Necrophos, is a pretty easy. It sounds weird because he's got heal. He's got a slight burst heal with Death Pulse, but he's fairly easy to gank. So right now he's got his treads and everything. You probably could have gotten him a little bit earlier. It's like 8 minutes in, but the important thing is that the Invoker's looking for a Midas timing here. If you can get a kill with him in lane, it'll help him like tenfold, right? He'll get a quicker Midas. He'll be less pressured in the lane, and just in general, he'll have a better time. Invoker, really good hero to gank with +1. So smoke up down the mid lane, wrap around the top rune. The bot rune ganks aren't usually that effective unless you're a hero like Enchantress or Chen and you have like a net creep, but for most heroes you want to smoke up, come around the top rune, and come up behind him. Most likely what you'll want to do is try to run at him right when he uses the Death Pulse. It is a really low cooldown, but he won't at least be, usually he'll be able to get one off if you come at him right after that, not usually two, but just keep that in mind. I think smoke ganking the Necro really can help out ganks as well. Basically everything that can get you any type of net worth or EXP advantage is going to be really, really important as a solo support, right? So stacking, ganking early on. I've noticed a severe lack of stacking. I will commend you for buying wards and stuff though, so that's really great. Not a lot of solo supports will do that. They'll be like, oh, I need my boots and my everything, and this guy's gonna go down, it seems. You got a plague board, you could drop it and actually block him there. Oh my god, the plays! This guy jumps out though, and if he dies, I would be so sad. He's so greedy right now. This guy won't die, but nice play from you. He could have just chucked flame spears at him there, and he would have gotten him. He definitely would have gotten him there. So the good thing is now you're up here, going to be able to get some good solo EXP and some last hitting. Going to be a little bit difficult under tower, but you do manage to get yourself a little bit of farm there. Now, where did you TP? TP to the mid lane. That's a pretty big mistake because nobody's top lane still. So how much CS are we missing out on there? It looks like probably 2-3 CS you could have taken for yourself. Then when the Huskar shows up, you can leave because, again, you're a solo support. You need everything you can get. There's 3 heroes bottom. You have very little mana. You're not going to be able to set up a Plague Ward wall since they're like only level 1. And I'm fairly certain you won't be able to get any kills here since there's 3 of them. And just you and a Mirana, right? So something to keep in mind there was that you probably should have stayed top. You want to find an open lane whenever possible. So if you go to help out on a gank and that laner has to leave, take that lane for as long as possible, unless you're like really low and they have a good initiation like a fissure or something that could kill you. But if they don't, which in that case they didn't, you could have just stayed top. Looks like your teammates end up getting bottom tower anyways, so you didn't really need to be there. You're gonna go mid lane. Looks like they get a kill on the Necrophos. That's great. So you're doing a pretty good job keeping up with the wards and everything. Looks like you want to push mid. 3 into Poison Sting, I don't think it's that great. If you actually put, if you actually max wards, they become a huge hassle, right? Their HP pool is pretty ridiculous, 450 HP. You just need the 1 point into Poison Sting for a little bit of a slow and that bonus damage per second, I think. This guy should go down here. Yeah, nice kill on the Alchemist that you got some EXP and gold for there. But your wards are that much stronger, right? They do more damage as well. It scales fairly well. So I think maxing the wards as a support, especially because if you're a solo support, you're not going to have that large of a mana pool. So sure, the passive, you know, same deal. You don't have a large mana pool. It helps out. But realistically, you won't be able to use Gale all that often. And that Necro's going to eat another arrow. Very close range, so shouldn't be able to get that kill. And unfortunately, you do go down there. Getting a little bit greedy, but that's just a slight misplay. You'll definitely get better at shit like that. Undersetting when you might die or you should be able to live. Your Invoker's doing really well, though, and this is great because you're getting a lot of space. And the one thing I will say is when you get a lot of space like this, it's alright to not always be with your team, right? Like your Meepo, your Invoker, your Huskar, your Mirana are really great at fighting. You, on the other hand, not so much, right? Like all you're offering right now is Poison Sting. You just got your ultimate, but it would be pretty important here for you to get your mana boots, right? Your Invoker wants mana boots. Your Mirana wants mana boots. Your Meepo would like mana boots as well. It keeps his farming efficiency up because he constantly needs mana for poofs. So I wouldn't mind you going off in a lane on your own, or if you have 3 points in a Plague Wards, you're really efficient at jungling as well. So you could have gone into the jungle. So keep that in mind. If you have a hero that can potentially jungle alone, you definitely want to do so. In these fights, yet again, you don't have a very large mana pool. If you get your ultimate, you basically have 99 mana after that in order to help out. So probably just going into a different lane alone. Going bot lane, there's going to be a ton of farms since the Prophet's pushing it right now. Going bot lane and just ensuring that you can get your mana boots as well as a few more levels so you can start really pressuring with the Plague Wards is really important, right? Because right now, you're 0-2 and 7. You haven't really done much. You've been there for assists. Kind of, but realistically it's more you've been in the area. You haven't really done all that much in terms of damage or anything. You get a nice dust off there. I think that was you. Actually, I don't think it was you. It was them. But it didn't matter anyway. So you're just kind of walking around. You do seem a little bit lost at this point. You're returning home. One item I do think is really important as any type of hero, no matter what, is your magic stick at the very least, but your completed magic wand as well. You get a lot of stats for that, whatever, 500 gold, as well as wand charges. Wand charges are like the lifeblood of Dota. It's why you'll see every professional player ever buy a magic wand. If it saves you even once, or if it gives you enough mana to get a kill even once, it's already paid for itself, right? So wand is so important. You go tranquil boots. I'm okay with you either tranquil or mana boots. I think because you guys are ahead and you were able to secure a little bit more farm, mana boots are a pretty good option. You don't really need the tranquil boots. Tranquil boots are kind of like, okay, I'm super poor, I'm gonna get tranquil soul ring instead of mana boots. It gives you a little bit more options in terms of mana usage and just regen and global sustain, stuff like that. So if you're gonna go tranquils, you probably want to get a soul ring after that. But like, you guys are so far ahead right now that it doesn't really matter what you do. It might have been a bad replay to analyze, but even though you guys were ahead, there was a lot that you could have worked on, right? So your skill build, your stacking and pulling, your itemization, as well as just kind of using the time that you have effectively, right? So there's a couple of lanes that you could have gone to and taken, you know, some of the farms, some of the EXP in those lanes, and unfortunately you didn't, and it by no means did it lose you the game. However, if you're wondering, alright, how do I be a better support? That's how, right? Poison Sting early on didn't really do much for you. Gale is enough to eat through refractions as well as give you enough of a slow. Plague Wards, I feel like just in general give you so many options. They open up Roshan a lot earlier. Sounds stupid, but they actually do offer you more damage in general, which is always great. They allow you to jungle. They allow you to push. A lot of these heroes, especially Alchemist early on, he doesn't want, you know, he doesn't want to have to deal with these Plague Wards. Sure, they give him more gold, but his attack speed's already pretty slow. They have a ton of HP. It takes him a long time to actually get through them when he doesn't have the attack speed necessary. So pretty annoying for him. Would have been great to get Plague Wards there, but it seems like the game's pretty well over and you're getting all the items you need. You did great with your warding, stuff like that. Probably could have ganked middle a couple of times just because after the Prophet left, the TA can't really go up against the Meepo 1v1. He's got net to provide him the vision in case she tries to go invis. He also has Geo Strike to do some of that damage over time. So if he's a good Meepo, he can harass her out really well. You just need to go there every once in a while, maybe to gale her up, help secure a kill. So good game, man. You played pretty well in terms of solo supporting, but hopefully I helped you out in how you can be a better solo support. I'm sure you've had tougher games than this, so if you keep all those things in mind, stacking and pulling, proper itemization as well as proper leveling, ganking a mid, if you have the opportunity to do so, which against the Necrophos, I would say, especially as like a Venomancer, Lion, Winter Wyvern, Arctic Burn is fantastic as long as you have a really strong mid laner like a Quap, Shadow Fiend, somebody like that. Easy to get ganks with. Invoker as well, Cold Snap, Forge Spirits is a lot more damage than people expect. So, you know, ganking the mid lane a little bit more, as well as... can't remember, but I have said whatever it was during the video, so hopefully it was a good video. You did enjoy it, and thanks again for at least submitting to me your Dota buff. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and good luck in the SEA scene, man. It seems like you're doing good, so keep at it, and I'm sure your MMR is just going to continue to go higher and higher. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. I have my series from lane to lane where I just cast some everyday pubs that you guys send me. I also do some more professional pubs like games from Koikva, Miracle, whoever I can get my hands on from Dota Buff. I have a learning series as well, so feel free to check that out. There's some more info in the description, as well as some videos linked in the annotations at the end here. Thanks a lot.